What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Let's go ahead and get this started. Huge sell-offs on a bunch of different stocks that we usually trade or watch very closely. So that's something that I'm going to cover today. Let's move this a little bit over here. So hope you guys are all having a good morning. Very quick, I'm just going to talk about some stocks that are having sell-offs and for potential reversals. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye out on them, and that's really just it. So the first one has to be, as of right now, JNUG, USLV, and DGAZ. Gush falls under that category as well, but this one's not really showing signs of a bounce. If you look at DGAZ, it's riding right around that EMA line, trying to show signs of a reversal. USLV, if I'm not mistaken, is trying to ride that middle view up, trying to reverse as well. And there we go again with this curling pattern right now for JNEG itself for this potential reversal. Again, does this mean 100% that these stocks are going to reverse or these ETFs are going to reverse? No, it doesn't actually mean that at all. It just means that some of them, pushed down quite a bit, and it might be time for them to reverse. So be sure to pick the one that you see the most value in, which pattern you understand the most, and which one you actually think today is showing indication of a reversal altogether. Following up with TMUS very quickly, TMUS has been showing signs of a pretty consistent uptrend pattern. And it's still trying to do a pretty good job holding above the EMA line. So today it would be nice being able to see it get very close to that $58 resistance. It's holding above $57, which is what it is that we want to see. But it is again still kind of consolidating right around that EMA line. Not actively trading up too aggressively, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just so LABD had another pullback, again hitting that resistance right around that $30 price point during pre-market hours, pulled back, and it's right around that $29 price point. So actually on this one itself, if we can get a bounce right around the SMA indicator, this one might be a potential one that you might want to keep a pretty close eye out for, as it was actively trading up during pre-market hours. So being able to capitalize on this margin even to like $29.80, from $29 to $29.80, a 2% margin. Literally, I charged my mouse all night and it's no longer connected. So this is great. I actually have an idea though. Because my TOS is set up that it's linked with my account on my phone, let's go ahead and do this. So SWN. So SWN, so again, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you guys link both your Trader app and your TD Ameritrade, I can select an app like right here. I can select like TMUS, and then when I select TMUS, it actually moves the charts here on your TOS as well. So TMUS, again, actively trending up intraday, as you guys can see, holding above that middle VWAP and that in between that top VWAP as well. In reality, I want to try to stay very micro focused today, especially if I'm going to be looking for any like day trade opportunities. So I really want to break down. Let's check this one out real quick. Nope, JDST. Let's see how this one's selling off. So we might want to keep a close eye out on JNUG. So let's check that out. So JNUG. Okay, so there we go. JNUG with that reversal, just like we called out, broke above the middle VWAP, approaching that SMA indicator, which might act as a resistance, and then the following resistance might be around 410, which is where the middle VWAP is at, right? DGAS, I'm waiting for the break above. My alert is set at 2270, if I'm not mistaken. You can see my alert a little bit on that right-hand side, that little yellow arrow. Or you can wait for that full-on confirmation and the break above that middle VWAP, and that will be around 2281. So, and that's where the middle VWAP is at, so we want to make sure that we see signs of that curling pattern. And then let's go ahead and check out USLV. USLV is showing a very consistent just consolidation and stuff like that. I really want to look at the time frames when it comes down to the larger time frames on this one. Let's see if we can pull it up. All right. So there we go. JNUG being rejected right around that SMA indicator. Let's see if we could hold above that SMA, and watch out for the resistance right around 410. Oh, that was a beautiful sneeze. Let's go on Michael's opinion on SPY for today. So let's go and check that out. Okay. So Michael, when calling out SPY, why is it that you see value in it? What pattern or what indicator is it that I'm not questioning you or anything like that. I'm just asking you, what is it that you saw or looked for SPY to be a good potential buy today? Very beautiful sneeze. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I think Michael brings up a pretty good point where I'm going to talk about one of two things that I think that can happen with SPY. I just wanted to hear his input. So the first one would be, if you look at this overall, like 10-day or 20-day analysis, whatever it is that you feel more comfortable, whatever makes the most sense to you, you could kind of see this range, right? This around 270, right? This range around 270 and this resistance right around 274, right? There's almost this pattern. So it is still getting rejected right now by that EMA line that's acting as a resistance, but this margin that it has to cover, that's a margin. Now, you have to ask yourself, is that opportunity cost worth it, right? So is this margin of profit worth it? So just so that UAN just broke below $3. And in my opinion, with how this stock is currently trading, or this specific ETF, it does make sense on why it can recover, even to like highs of, let's say even making higher highs of 275. That's about 1.24%. So in my opinion, the margin of profit, it is not huge. And the reason that I say that is, do you also see that it's showing signs of this double top pattern? It's peaking out twice at this resistance, right? A very common pattern, again, something that has been acting as a support has been something like, the SMA indicator, where it normally tends to like, hit a resistance, pull back, and then consolidate around that price point. Don't you see that the EMA line is also showing signs of a downward pattern? So it would almost make sense, if it ends up getting rejected at this EMA, for this thing to continue to trend down and then bounce right around the EMA line, right? And then that margin of loss, the 1.36%, is almost equivalent to the margin of profit. So then you have to ask yourself, is the opportunity cost worth it, right? And I do think that it might be worth it as a day trade because it's probably actively trending up intraday. But it's and I like the setup, and I like how it is that you were able to see value in that. But I just want you to take into consideration the opportunity cost and this 1% margin that it has to offer here that it needs to complete. Literally, JNUG, when we saw the pattern, when we saw the break above the EMA here to the SMA indicator, that's about the same 1%, right? Or something like, like right now with DGAS, right? Like wherever it is that you want to wait from this EMA line to the top view up, another 2%. Oh man, give me one quick second. This is ridiculous. All right, so just to kind of go from there, I think it's really cool that, at least for you, Michael, that intraday you saw this curling pattern. It was trending in between the middle view up and the top view up, showing signs of an uptrend. That's 100% a beautiful pattern, and it 100% makes sense. The only reason that I don't find it to be so attractive has to just do because the margin of profit isn't that great, right? It doesn't outweigh the margin of loss. But the actual setup itself for the pattern that you saw value in is 100% ideally what we want you to focus on. And that makes a lot of sense. And that's why I started, did you hear me in the morning talk about right as the market opened, there's about 3 to 4 different ETFs that pulled back, such as JNUG, USLV, DGAS, and Gush, and they all showed this potential, this curling pattern, just at the margins of profits within these specific ETFs are a little bit greater, right? We called out this one, we called out JNUG. So WB just broke above 104. But as you can see, it broke above when it broke above 1390, and with the price point of where it's at right now, all the way leading up to 410, it offers about 4.1% potential for profit. Let's see. Okay, so right now, Samir, I am talking about JNUG. So JNUG is the one that's showing signs of potential recovery. And again, I'm treating these as day trades. USLV, again, consolidating. I'm going to set my alert for the break above the middle view up, which should be right around 971. So we could set it there. And then we're receiving this consolidation happening right around, what is this, 2270. But I want it to alert me when it goes above. And again, that's where my alert is at. And the reason why is because I see potential for this thing to try to recover. But also, if you want to, or if you would feel more comfortable waiting for the full-on break above the middle view up, I 100% understand. Just because as of yesterday, it did a very poor job trying to break above the middle view up. It broke above the EMA, but it was always getting rejected at the middle view up. So if you want to be extra patient, 100%, I'm all for it. So, and then we have, gosh, recently just broke above the middle view up, trading in between the middle view up and the top view up. So, and showing signs of an uptrend pattern with the overall underlying resistance at around the estimate indicator. So let's make sure that we take that into consideration before taking the next position. But even with this, right, it's already covered 2.3%. So, of course, Samir. What do you think about DKS as a swing trade? So DKS. So Dick's Sporting Goods. Okay, so this makes sense on why it is that you see value in it right now. Does this all? And I'm really happy to, I'm gonna put this in my pending reversals. So DKS, and the reason why is I don't think it's. I don't know if you guys watched the video that I made yesterday talking about the three. Okay, Diaz just broke above 2270, but the three stages that a stock goes through before it reverses, and it was the rejection, it was the consolidation, and then the overall actual reversal and uptrend. Watch out for the actual earnings itself, right? And also, this one does take time for it to actually break above the EMA line. And with the number of days left to its earnings, do I think that it's going to be able to actually capitalize and cover this margin? No, in reality, I really do not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my alert for the break above $31. I'm going to be patient, and then as it breaks above $31, that's when it will be above the EMA line and well above the EMA line. That the direction of the EMA line will start pointing up, and that's what I want to wait for. So it 100% makes sense on why it is that you see value in it, and you can 100% write it from here. It's like the EMA line or whatever it is that you feel comfortable writing it at. I just want to wait due to its earnings, being very close, and also the direction of the EMA is still pointing down right now. So the reversal is not a full-on confirmation. So yeah. JNUG is pushing up. Yep, so JNUG intraday is definitely showing signs of an uptrend pattern. And just like we called out, the top view up showing signs of a resistance right around 410. Up to you guys on wherever it is that you guys want to see that, or plan to exit. I don't know how many of you guys are currently invested in it, and stuff like that. But just make sure that you set your alerts and you keep it consistent, and you lock in profits, right? There's nothing wrong with locking in profits. Don't forget about the report tomorrow, guys. 100%. So for DGAS, the reason that we're calling this one as a day trade has to do with the understanding that the natural gas reports come out tomorrow, and based off previous patterns, just like I talked about last week, and I'm talking to you guys again today. For those that are new, there's a natural gas report that comes out every Thursday at 10:30. 10:30, I think, Pacific Standard Time. It's 1 hour after the market opens, wherever it is that you are. So 1 hour after the market opens. So with that understanding, natural gas usually pushes up after these reports, at least based on the maybe like past 3 months that I've traded DGAS and UGAS. UGAS is the one that usually pushes up, so that means that DGAS usually is the one that gets rejected. So let's make sure that you take that into consideration before getting into a position for a swing trade for DGAS when it could fully get rejected by tomorrow. So okay, sweet. All right, happy to hear that. So Michael, but does it make sense on why the marginal profit is very important, because if you're going to take a position, you want to make sure that not only is it a good pattern or a good setup, but that it's, the marginal profit or the risk, right, is worth taking. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we got JWN, this is Nordstrom, wow. Okay, and this definitely makes sense on why it's reversing at around this price point. So there's a previous pattern of consolidation. Do you guys see this? The support, again, right around $46. Again, trying to be conservative. You could draw the first resistance line right around 50, the second one right around 52. It looks like at about every $2 price point, there's some form of support and resistance. Today is the first day of the reversal, and just like we talked about yesterday, there are different stages within a reversal and how long it's actually going to take for the direction of the EMA line to start pointing up, right? Because right now the EMA line is kind of horizontal, right? So we want to make sure we give it time for it to fully push up, pull back, push up, pull back, and while it does that, again, we want to invest in it when it's actively trending up, not just when we hope that it pushes up and then maybe tomorrow it's going to pull back. So we don't want to get in at the very peak as it pulls back, because some of us might feel like, we got in a little bit too high and we end up getting rejected. So let's make sure that we take that into consideration. I'm going to add this one to my pending reversals. This is another great call out though. I really like the setup on this one, so great job. Okay, so it looks like JNEC ended up getting rejected right around that top view up, and it 100% makes sense. We called it out perfectly, and again, although we called it out at around 1410, I hope that you guys understand that there's no exact price point or exact resistance. I was just going through the general understanding of where that view up was at. So I hope you guys were able to cover profits and saw the double top right here, right? And then saw the rejection, or being able to observe the rejection altogether. But right now, it looks like it's bouncing right around this EMA line, and it might continue this upward staircase pattern. So this might be something that we might find pretty attractive. So let's see. Waiting for the reversal on LABD. I like the margin here. So from LABD, and if this thing can cover back here, it's a solid 2%, and it makes sense on this one as well on why this one would recover. Especially with this overall, analysis of, knowing that this stock, this ETF itself is oversold, showing signs of an uptrend. It's just pulling back intraday. And in this pullback, I'm still able to capitalize on this margin. And even if I want to swing trade it, that's a good setup within itself as well. So Wing, showing a pretty solid setup. Let's do the 2-day 5 minutes. 5-day 5 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Google, play today's top 50. So here we go. So Wing is now actively trading up, just like we called it out yesterday. So finding that support right around like $50 to $51, and it's showing signs of an upturn right now. Right now it's consolidating right around that EMA line. So, we might want to wait a little bit more for a confirmation, but it made sense on why people started to invest in it down here, and why they will start to add more to their position when it breaks above like $52 and stuff like that. And then don't be afraid to cover profits. It's a very consistent pattern. So I would say anywhere around like $54, it would make sense to sell. If you want to wait till new highs, it's up to you. It's just a little bit riskier, as it doesn't have to necessarily make newer highs. So just something that we can take into consideration. Let's see. What's going on, Rashay? Nice to have you here. Thank you again for tuning in. Late? Just kidding. Happy to have you here. Regardless of, even if you can tune in for 5 minutes or watch the recap, just happy to have you here. My man, Muhammad, I like that. Happy to hear that. Up 1% on Wing today. Amazing. Oh, what's going on, Austin? You absolutely killed it on your other position. I'm really happy to hear that. It's all about keeping it consistent. Austin, do you want to share something of what has assisted you and being a little bit more consistent with your trades? If you want to share it while we're breaking things down, just something very simple, like one, for someone that's just getting started, what is a transition that you made from when you just started to maybe not making money to being a little bit more consistent in making money? Of course, Rashay. How do you like your M3? You never drive it. I know. I absolutely never drive it. My roommates are actually talking about them taking care, like them insuring it under their names and stuff like that, and then just enjoying it. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Just so someone can enjoy it. Tesla, great call out. Let's check it out. Tesla's showing signs of a downtrend, so I do apologize for that. So Colin, Tesla is showing signs of a downtrend. Do you see this? The overall direction, I'm looking at the direction of the EMA and which way it's pointing. It's still pointing down. Yes, I do personally think, just as yourself probably, that it is a little bit on the oversold side, but it's not showing the pattern itself. It's not showing any indication of a reversal. Yes, it's at a general area of where it normally reverses, but it's not showing any indication of a reversal. And I need to wait for that confirmation. So I hope that makes sense to you. So good call out, but we need to be a little bit more patient. And Austin's saying, be patient. So that very, very, what's it called? I guess sums up, the like a huge part of the course, right? And I think actually yesterday's video, like talking about the reversals and stuff like that, and how patient it is that you actually have to be for these swing trades can play a huge role. Because Michael, if I'm not or Austin, if I'm not mistaken, you ended up taking a position on wing a little bit earlier, correct? So let me know about that. And do you think you could have got in for a better entry, or do you feel like really comfortable with what it is that you invested in? TYL. So TYL is still showing signs of a downward pattern. I do see why it is that you see value in this one because of the very consistent uptrend and stuff like that. So it definitely does make sense, and it continues to make higher lows. So that's something that's very attractive. I still think that it has a little bit more to sell off, and something that we can do is we can get a little bit closer on this 20-day analysis or this 90-day analysis and see if we could see any patterns that we haven't been able to see already before. Yeah, I still think that there's a little bit more margin for a bounce or for a sell-off, and then for the overall reversal itself. So, yeah. Do I think the overall margin of profit is worth it? Let's say we wait for the break above 25, what is it, even $26, right? It's not bad. It's about 2 to 3%, so it keeps it consistent. So I definitely do see what it is that you see value. So I was going to take a position on wing yesterday morning, but I waited till this morning and ended up getting a much better deal. Oh, that's actually really good. Okay, because I know you brought it up yesterday, right? If I'm not mistaken, Austin. I was looking at all the comments and stuff like that, and I think I saw you bring up wing. I think maybe it was just one that you were interested in, so that's good. HNY is a pump and dump, and don't play it. 100%. I mean, I can't tell you what to invest in or what not to invest in. I just know that based on my experience, investing in something that offers a pattern like this, strong descending pattern after it gets manipulated, is very unattractive. And there's a lot of stocks that are like that. If I'm not mistaken, here is showing very similar patterns to that. And yes, it's fun, or yes, you think that you have everything, just figured out when you're on the upside, but then you get caught and fully invested in this pattern, and unfortunately some people never give up and they ride it all the way back down. You can see that the volume is dying out. You can see that the price action is going to follow as well. So just be very aware that these stocks are usually being manipulated, and it's what usually causes this. Keeping a very close eye out on USLV. So we got DAL with a solid pullback. Do you guys see this overall uptrend pattern? The solid pullback from 53. Even if it ends up covering back to where it was at $55, that's almost about 4% to overall highs of 56, which is its normal resistance. That would put it at about 5.71% potential for profit. That's not bad. Come on. Vroom vroom, when are we going to hit the trails? Guys, and I think I'm going to be picking up a new car today. So we picked up a new car that we actually have not even showed on camera, both Justin and I, about last week when I was in Miami, in the Miami trip. And that's why Justin has like that rental, because it's in the shop getting fully serviced. And then we're picking up another car today, and super pumped. But all of them are all flips to buy and resell, and they have huge margins. So and they're pretty nice cars. So I think you guys will really like them. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. So LPP changed three things in my life. I started learning English faster. I learning how to trade, and I also started drinking chocolate milk, which I never drank much more of before. That is hilarious. So I love that. Also, I think the patience and the discipline is a huge factor that we want to make sure that we focus on. So hopefully we can learn some of that as well. All right. Let's check out MB. Let's just make sure that we have these guys in the call out format. That would be really nice if we can. So ticker symbol MB. Do you guys see why it is that our friend Riche sees value in this? Do you guys see why it is, right? Solid uptrend pattern, right? With the direction of this EMA line, this SMA line, right? Right? It makes sense. What is it? I mean, we can 100% get in right now, right? And it can potentially bounce. It doesn't mean that it has to, though. So with that understanding, I have my alerts set both at 38 and 40. It's one that we've broken down before, right? And you can see the MACD indicator overall is showing still signs of a decaying pattern. It might still have a little bit more for a sell-off, but it's when it begins to reverse that it's going to be very attractive, right? So what we can do is we can set our alerts right here, and when it breaks above this specific price point, we could revisit it and try to capitalize within this margin that it usually tends to cover, which is a little bit over 10%. This one, to cover that margin, usually does take quite a bit of time, so that's the only downside on that. So if you're willing to wait that time, 100%. If you're not, then might not be the best investment for you. Same thing with this. This is Texas Roadhouse. Again, we have our alerts for the overall reversal. It's very close to the overall SMA, which makes sense on why it is that you see value in it. But as of right now, not showing any signs of an uptrend pattern. So again, it's great. You have a good setup. Now it's waiting for the confirmation for the overall reversal. So let's be patient with that. I'm also going to set my alert to see if there's a break of pattern, and if it starts to break below the specific price point that we originally saw value in. So we got Diaz again getting rejected. I think patience and discipline might come along with chocolate milk. I like that. All right. So that's a question that we'll answer in just a little bit. But yeah, 100% we're cool. So I get into wing a little bit too early. Okay, so Twitter. Twitter's showing a little bit more signs of it being on the little bit on the overbought side. Not such a good deal in my opinion. Yes, it does still have some margin to be able to cover. Just it doesn't look like the best deal, and the pattern's pretty inconsistent in my opinion. So I don't find that to be very attractive, nor is it something that I think that I'd want to take advantage of as of right now. So I would personally stay away. But I do see why it is that you do see value in it with your support and resistance. Support. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at it intraday. I want to check it out real quick. Okay, so it's having to sell off. It's doing a very good job trading in between the middle view up and the top view up. So as long as you can continue this pattern, it makes sense. The margins aren't huge, but it definitely still makes sense on why it is that some people would still see value in it. Where are you going to park it? Yeah, that's a good question. So what's going on, Andres? Okay, so looks like it bounced at the overall support at around $12, right? Ended up going a little bit below 12, which is 100%, okay. This is a therapeutics company. I'm not a huge fan of those. Watch out for the overall resistance at about every dollar price point. So it definitely does make sense on why this thing can continue to actively trend up. I want to get in a little bit closer and look at the pattern. So it looks like this SMA line is now acting as a resistance as it was previously acting as a support. And that's very important to keep a very close eye out on. I'm going to now do this. Okay, do you guys see how I did that? I focused on this 20-day analysis because the 20-day 1 hour showed a very valid, EMA and SMA, right? And it made a lot of sense. So I went to the 90-day 1 hour. So again, still the same length, right, of the candles, but just a little bit more data. and you can see that it used to act as a support, right, when it was above the SMA indicator. Now that it broke below, the SMA is now acting as a resistance. So now you could view that, hey, maybe it's not the best buy. Maybe we need to wait for the break above $13 for a full-on confirmation. So because of that, we can set our alerts there and simply wait, right? Wait for the overall confirmation. So I hope that makes sense. So when are you going to get rid of the Corvette? I got a couple messages yesterday for offers, so hopefully sometime soon. Yeah, so hey Ricky, referring back to the EMA video, and understand until it waits and points up. So I get your question. So you're saying sometimes when you wait for the full-on confirmation and the break above the EMA, wow, you guys had a huge sell-off. Something like, let's say for this, right? Let's say when it breaks above the EMA line, easiest way to answer it is if you wait for the break and the confirmation above the EMA for the full-on reversal, whether it's a day trade or whether it's a swing trade, and then after it ends up not having a large enough margin of profit, so therefore it's not viewed as such a good deal, then the margin of profit isn't necessarily worth it. You might be getting, in a little bit too close to the overall resistance, and you're trying to buy these like smaller reversals as it continues to descend. So what I would say is focus on stocks or ETFs, whatever it is that you want to focus on, that the margins of profits are worth it, right? And that you do still wait for the overall reversal. There's a good amount out there. You just have to be a little bit more patient and selective. And I get it. I've been there in those shoes. If you feel comfortable taking that full-on position, right? Before the confirmation, you're just taking on another risk and test it out. If you can do simulation trading and paper trading, it might be something that you might want to explore. Just as of right now, it's not something that I would really want to be a part of it, and I hope that makes sense. Watch out for that spray paint on the new car. Honestly, it's a joke that I'm probably going to play on Justin sometime soon. So, but he already knows about it, so maybe we could do something a little bit different. No, of course, Rashad. Thank you again. How far will Diaz drop till it reverses? Roberto, I don't know. That's not a question that I can answer. It's just waiting for the confirmation of the reversal. So, you can try to look for previous support levels on the 180-day analysis, but that's the whole point of doing technical analysis. It's to waiting for the overall reversal and waiting for the confirmation. So we've seen, multiple times where it, breaks the support, and it takes a little bit more time for it to, consolidate and reverse. As you can see with this pattern right here, it broke all the way to down to about 22.30, and it's already below that. So USLV just broke above $9.72, and that was one that I wanted to keep a pretty close eye out on. So yeah, oh no, it was LABD, one that I found the most attractive. Wow, this thing is selling off. Okay. All right. Thank you. Andres, DRN is actively trading up. Yeah, I did get my alert that it broke above $18 right as the market opened. I don't know if you guys did too, but yeah, we got the break above $18 today. The only reason that I don't actively trade DRN too much is because of the very low volume, but the overall pattern itself makes sense, right? We waited for this pullback confirmation. If you guys go back, right, to any of our other morning live chats, we've talked about this one before. It showed signs of an uptrend, hit a resistance right around $19, got rejected, bounced and validating this SMA line as a support, again, holding and trying to hold above $17, reversed, consolidated right around this EMA line, broke above it, and is now actively trending up. And MACD indicator, it's in its favor. RSI is pointing up. Everything is in its favor as of right now. It definitely does make sense. And just watch out for the resistance right around $19 to $20. Great reminder and great call out. That is hilarious. Don trying to say, to make it different on Justin, use real spray paint. That's hilarious. So maybe okay, 100%. It definitely does make sense. Can you so before I explain myself, so for both Austin and Carlos, why is it that that you see value in this potential pattern itself? So what is it that you would want to wait for? before you end up purchasing, this stock yourself. I want to see what you guys have to say. What do you feel about drip? Drip's just been showing a very consistent descending pattern, and I know that Gush right now is trying to pull back, but even intraday, it's already starting to recover. So, not much hope for drip as of right now. It's just not one that I'm paying too much attention to, just because it continuously is getting rejected. What's going on, Jeff? Morning from Thailand. Man, must be nice. Sweet. I wish Cane's sold breakfast. They do. It's chicken. Solid. I like that. Watch out. There's been a lot of consolidation markers with HTZ. That if you see any signs of a rejection or anything like that, again, you see this previous high at around 16, like $17. Just be careful for the consolidation and the a potential reversal. If you want to just continue staying green, then it might not be a bad idea to just cover profits. But if you like the overall pattern and the potential that it has for the overall swing trade, which I definitely do see why you would, you could cover maybe some position or hold it all, whatever it is that you feel most comfortable with. Break above the EMA. So Austin is saying bouncing off the 180-day SMA, holding above the 5-day, 5-minute SMA. I like that. So, and then that's going back to crud. No. Here we go. So yeah, bouncing off this 180-day EMA, and then you said the 5-day, 5-minute. That's the time frame that you have set up. Okay. So and then continue to hold above this, and for this, the overall direction, right, of this SMA to start pointing up, right? And do you see? Does this make sense? Like, do you see how this thing is still showing signs of this curling pattern? Do you see how this is still in the stage of a rejection? Right now, it is now above the EMA, but now it might be in the stage of consolidation. So it still might be a couple days until the direction of the EMA line even starts to actively point up. Just think about the overall, just try to draw out this SMA line and how it can reverse due to the overall pattern. Do you think that all of a sudden it's just going to go boop? Right? No, it takes some time, and it's an SMA indicator. It's a simple moving average, and it takes time for it to curl back up, right? So just know that it's probably going to take time for this this reversal to happen. So LABD just broke below 28.41. My goodness, there are some sell-offs today. Yeah, DGAS also. DGAS at, wow, huge sell-off. Yep. Looks like I might just want to buy DGAS and LABD just because of how much it's sold off. It's just a dip buy at this point. So, well, we state the 180-day EMA, and I always say the 4-hour candles. So it's, we almost have it as like, it's kind of everyone within our group understands that when I talk about 180-day, that they also understand that that's in correlation to the 4 hours. So if that's confusing to you, feel free to message me and I can, make sense of it to you. But I've never had anyone question that breakdown or that understanding. Especially when I go live on YouTube, I say 180-day 4 hours. So there's not much confusion there. CRSP. This is one that we were watching a couple days ago. Wow, yeah, definitely pushing up. Does it look like a good deal though? You know how overextended it is. It looks like this is pretty much all its movement, and as of right now, it just wouldn't make sense for us to buy for it to make higher highs, right? It's just not a good deal. It's overbought, overextended. It's only a matter of time, in my opinion, for it to start selling off. All right. So my watch list is red. Yeah, a good amount of stocks in my watch list are red as well. Sweet. The best trade is the airbag prank. HTZ. Sweet. Okay, SN is showing more signs of a potential reversal pattern. Do you see this curling EMA? I see more signs of a potential reversal here, so I don't see too much value in that one, in that call out, Carlos. Just my opinion though. But do you see this? Why I think it's a little bit more on the overextended side and why it's hitting more of a peak formation? Yeah. I have no active position right now. So does the oil report come out today? That's something that I'll have to look into. Yeah. HOS. All right, let's go ahead and do two more breakdowns and then we'll call it a day, team. So HOS, again, yeah, it is showing signs of an uptrend pattern. I would look for a better buy closer to the EMA indicators around 340 and for the overall resistance right around 370 to 380. And it does offer a pretty decent margin. So this is one that we've broken down before with the overall underlying resistance at around $4. So let's just make sure that we keep that into consideration. And we'll just do this last one. All right, a lot of consolidation happening right here, showing signs of this potential curling pattern. Not too much value there. Yeah, I can probably continue this uptrend pattern, but you know, it could also get fully rejected. So let's just wait for it to either make newer highs, right, or higher highs, or get rejected, right? And then, yeah, I think that would. Does that make sense though on why there's a lot of consolidation? Yeah, it can lead to higher highs, but if it ends up breaking and making lower lows and breaking that support, then it would make sense on why it would start to pull down back to this overall support at around 170. So oil is at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time today. Okay, so it's in about 12 minutes. So watch out for that. Yep, I like it. I like it. All right, I'm just gonna follow up with these real quick. All right, LVD, HTZ. Okay. All right, so we got USLV now actively trending up as it broke above the middle view up, so that was a good call out. DGAS again trying to reverse, but again really struggling to hold above, even break above the EMA at this point, and hold above that. And then we got JNUG with that consolidation happening right around the middle view up and the top view up, so not a lot of like upward pattern with that itself. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So then we got a last one to call it about AMD. So Joel. Yeah, I do see this bull flag bull flag pattern. Yeah, but it's also showing a lot of consolidation, and it's not such a good deal at this price point either. So $13, it's showing more sense of a potential curling pattern. Yes, it did push up today, but it also makes sense on why this thing can get rejected closer to the SMA indicator. And is the margin of profit, worth the marginal loss? In my opinion, for AMD, it's not such a good deal at this price point. So. Thank you. Appreciate that, Gary. Alrighty, guys. But yeah, that is it. So I want to follow up with a potential entry on LABD. The reason why is because I see a lot of upside potential, not only for a day trade, but especially for a swing trade. And being able to buy on this pullback, I just want to see signs of a confirmation of a reversal, even if it's not at the best entry, even if it's like right around 28.80. I think that it has a lot of opportunity intraday, but most importantly as a swing trade. So I want to get in for a good setup, and even with the resistance at 29.80, being able to go from 28.80, being able to cover that $1 margin, it's about 3.5%. So something that I find very attractive, but again, just trying to focus on that quality, and we might be getting there pretty soon. So I'm going to set a couple alerts, and I'll keep you guys up to date with what it is that I plan on doing. So other than that, yeah, a lot of consolidation happening with something like JNUG, huge sell-offs again happening with DGAS. Watch out for DGAS tomorrow, right? And USLV actively trending up. So that is it, guys. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to direct message me. I'd be more than happy to assist, and we can kind of go from there. Sweet, that's super cool, Matthew. That's what it's all about. Matthew what is that? Jiglio? Did I pronounce that correctly? So Hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. Let's continue working hard, continue following our dreams. Let our passion be what drives you and us and our success, right? And if you guys want to stay up to date with the car that I'm going to be buying today, then feel free to follow me on Instagram. I think a majority of you guys do, especially those that are part of Learn, Plan, Profit. And I'll keep you guys up to date with on my story on what it is that I'm doing throughout the day and stuff like that. So let's keep it simple. I definitely do want to try to take a position for potential swing trade leading up to the next couple of days, but I don't want to force it. So I know that you guys understand. So thank you guys again for everything that you guys do. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.